Motivational interviewing. What comes to mind for you? Is it a brainwashing, delusional Instagram mindset coach that keeps coming up in your feed with their 10-step guide to be the best version of yourself? Personally, when I first thought of motivational interviewing in the context of sport and physical exercise, the animated, passionate, and not so conservative NRL Raiders coach Ricky Stewart came straight to my mind. I think of the glimpses we see at halftime when he's stood in the middle of the team, whether up or down in the game. You can almost guarantee he would be yelling and gesticulating through his exaggerated body movements to get through to his team in order to motivate them and drive them to the end goal, which is of course winning. While sometimes taking his emotion out on an innocent plastic chair, his underlying drive, passion, and care for the task at hand is what first came to my mind when I thought of motivational interviewing. In reality, motivational interviewing is underpinned by a perplexed combination of key principles and practices that in fact does not include throwing a plastic chair across the locker room to provoke motivation. At its foundation, motivational interviewing is a method of counselling that involves a broad spectrum of enhancing principles aimed to motivate a client or patient to a desired change. Shortly, I will elaborate on how desired change is established through a means of collaboration between the practitioner and the client. In theory, studies describe motivation as a dynamic state that can be influenced, and that the response by the client seeking change can fluctuate dependent on the practitioner's style. Motivational interviewing promotes a collaborative, empathetic, and understanding environment in order to positively engage in this theory of a dynamic state of motivation. The primary aim of motivational interviewing is to collaboratively build motivation between the client and the practitioner to a desired change and to strengthen the client's commitment to this change. In order to build motivation for change, the practitioner must adhere to the OARS technique to build rapport and establish therapeutic relationship, to then work on the rule principles. In this instance, I will be discussing the theoretical elements behind how motivational interviewing can promote an individual to make the shift from a long-standing sedentary lifestyle to adhere to long-term exercise in order to enhance their mental and physical well-being. Long-standing behaviours that eventuate to pose as significant health risks are one of the greatest challenges that health practitioners will face to change. To strengthen the client's commitment to change, a change plan of action must be decided upon. As without a goal, there is no direction. This potential failure to launch can be avoided by employing the strategies of change talk through asking the client a series of targeted, open-ended questions. We already know that our client needs to alter their physical activity regime in order to improve their mental and physical well-being. But we must go about this with an emphasis on the need of a collaborative, therapeutic relationship. So, what are the disadvantages of staying within this status quo? Okay, and what worries you about these disadvantages? Now, if we can flip these disadvantages, what advantages can you see out of this? Okay, tell me about the direct advantages of engaging in physical activity for you. Tell me what you would like your health to look like in the near future. Now, following on from asking about the personal advantages of physical activity, in an optimistic, inquisitive, and genuine tone, displaying open signs of body language such as hands on the lap or on a note-taking tool, maintaining eye contact, and with an overall relaxed but upright posture, we would ask the client to elaborate on these advantages. So tell me about a time where you've made a significant positive change to your physical or mental health. And what did the following 6 months after this look like? Let's talk about the strengths that you possess that could promote this change again. By asking the client to draw on what they know they possess and are capable of using, we are promoting an intention for change. Stating this intention for change can look like, okay, so tracking back to today, if you could change something right now to alter this status quo, what would that be? Tell me about it. By reeling back to the present, we can begin to solidify the client's means for change and begin to draw these out in a way the client will be able to maintain these elements of strength to promote a healthier, more sustainable lifestyle. What I have begun to demonstrate in this mock scenario is the OARS principle. Open-ended questions were asked, affirmations were stated, reflection was taken place, and summarising was followed. The guiding principle established to make the most of the one-on-one time between client and practitioner has been coined by the acronym of RULE. As aforementioned, motivation is a dynamic, influential state under the direction of the practitioner. So in order to promote a collaborative, empathetic, and understanding dynamic of motivation behind motivational interviewing, the practitioner must resist the righting reflex. The righting reflex is a tendency to advise the patient about the right path for good health, which can have a paradoxical effect, as in, without knowing, you could be promoting the patient to maintain their status quo out of fear of commitment and failure. Patients or clients will often respond to this righting reflex by recalling their reasons to maintain this behaviour, creating a sense of ambivalence. Suppressing this reflex as a practitioner allows you to explore the patient or client's motivations for change without bombarding them with the hard truth straight away without building up their resilience to the matter. Resisting the righting reflex is followed by understanding the patient's motivations. At the end of the day, it is the patient's desire for change that will ultimately result in the change of their behaviour. As their practitioner, it is advantageous to explore their interests, concerns, and values in a curious and open manner in order to better understand their motivations for change and the potential barriers that are stopping them from doing so. To do this, we must listen with empathy. Effective listening skills blended with appropriate gesticulation are essential to understanding what is going to motivate your client. A general rule of thumb of motivational interviewing is that there should be a 50-50 talking and listening ratio between the client and the practitioner. Listening empathetically crosses into the principle of empowering the client. It is proven when the client is an active collaborator in their treatment, the effectiveness of the outcome is much greater. Listening with empathy crosses over with the OARS principle of summarising. Listening effectively and empathetically will allow you to summarise back to the client what they have said in order to demonstrate that you are listening and that, more importantly, they are being heard. By using our previous established knowledge on what has worked in the past for your client, you can further explore and empower the patient's own ideas about how they can make a change, focusing on their successes, not their times of perceived failure. Empowering the patient promotes and supports self-efficacy. We as a practitioner must believe in and recognise their previous wins, no matter how small they may seem. These are stepping stones needed to embody a sense of empowerment and confidence to improve their physical and mental well-being. We must embody the attitude that change is possible, drawing on the client's desires and reasons for improving their health. Using these goals as reminders, not punishers, will be a powerful motivator to the client when they feel there is a shared therapeutic relation embodied by the idea of success. The overall spirit of motivational interviewing is described as a collaborative, evocative, and honouring of the patient's autonomy. Adhering to the spirit of MI, the practitioner focuses on emphasising the reasons for change from the client, rather than ambushing the client from an authoritarian stance to educate them on the imminent health risks they will face if they don't change their ways. If, however, the practitioner does believe that the health risks posed to the patient must be addressed to set appropriate goals, consent and asking of permission from the client is customary, as it once again honours the patient or client's autonomy. The authoritarian attitude is not sustainable to promote a positive change. The spirit of MI emphasises collaborative therapeutic relationships between the practitioner and the client. This is underpinned by the patient seeing the practitioner as a facilitator rather than an expert. This is crucial groundwork developed through implying the OARS principles in which are necessary to be able to build on the rules principles of success. We must embody the attitude that change is possible, drawing on the client's desires and reasons for improving their health. Using these goals as reminders, not punishers, will be a powerful motivator to the client when they feel there is a shared therapeutic relation embodied by the idea of success. To wrap this up, in the spirit of MI, you must, as the practitioner, consider relapse as an important stage in the process of change, as this provides greater opportunity to learn about sustaining maintenance in the future. You can't see relapse as a failure or label them as unmotivated. This just adds fuel to the fire to motivate for change.